Hello and welcome to another update video. Today we talk about COTI. With COTI, we take a look at the chart, we take a look at the price action, and we take a look at new all-time high targets. At the moment, this chart is in a consolidation, and in a possible accumulation phase. So we're going to take a look at that in a minute. But we start here at the daily chart. I want to take a look at the sort of the longer time frame targets. And what you need to understand is that I look at this chart on Kucoin. The Coinbase chart looks a bit different, but the Kucoin chart looks a bit more trustworthy. So shows this chart also has a decent chart history since 2019. I have chosen here to go with a chart or wave count that suggests that the move up here, this sort of back then all-time high in March 21 was a wave 1. We then came down in a wave A, which is pretty much what Bitcoin did as well. We then moved up in an overshooting wave B, and we are now coming down in wave C of 2, which could possibly be finished, but we take a look at that in a minute. Now, it's been a long time, but I did make COTI videos at a point in time. And back in July 21, I identified here this descending wedge, which was a very nice reversal pattern, and we broke out and came to new all-time highs. Since then, COTI has failed to perform, and it has come down and made a double top up here, and then just came down and is still in this channel here to the downside. And before we really dive deep, well, it's actually broken out now. So before we dive deeper into the Elliott waves, wanted to make you aware, sorry, of this channel here. And as we can see, just now we've actually broken out. So that's a potentially positive sign, but the price hasn't really moved to the upside. Now, if we look at the log chart, sometimes this looks a bit different. In this case, it doesn't really. So also the log chart, here. So the log chart looks a bit different, as I said. Okay, so here on the log chart, you could draw this more like a descending broadening wedge, which would it would explain why the price hasn't really moved since or when we broke the channel. It might be because the log chart here is a bit more accurate, a bit more likely, and that we are in this sort of descending broadening wedge, and that means should we move further sideways, then it could be here somewhere around, well, we talk about January actually, that we actually finally reach here the resistance. But of course, if we go up from here now, you could reach that earlier and break out. But the point I try to make is that any breakout of this channel could be considered bullish, as long as it's a breakout to the upside. I think if we see a breakout to the downside, this coin is dead. But at the moment, we are holding support and we're moving sideways. Looks to me like a consolidation. But a descending broadening wedge is something that you could consider a more bullish pattern. So my overall move here, or way to understand this chart, is that this was a wave 1 to the upside, then an A, B, C. This also doesn't change really on the log chart. I prefer to use the linear chart. So let's first take a look and establish a possible new all-time high target. To do that, we start at 0 with the Fib calculation, go all the way up to the wave 1 high, and then go down to the most recent lowest low, which was here around 7.5 cents. We'll just need to adjust it now to make it accurate. And again, we start at 0, and the low that we made here was pretty much 7.7 cents. So I can adjust that, and then we look at new all-time high targets, and we look at the target of around 88 cents as a minimum for a wave 3. But that really is the absolute minimum. My view is if COTI really starts to move, it should go higher. Many lower market cap coins do that when they break above the all-time high, that they in a wave 3, that they go above the 1.618 extension. And then we look at overall for the next larger impulse, so wave 4 and 5 finished as well, that in wave 5 we should reach around the $1.38 level. But again, these are sort of ideal / minimum targets. So now that we have looked at that, let's actually take a look at the sub wave count here. So my view of this chart is that we had here a wave A down, yeah, after this wave B top, yeah. No, sorry, not a wave 1 down. No. This was already a wave B top. So we came down in 5 waves, and as you can see, the second high. Let's just take a look at that and zoom in, so we can see that the second high is actually a tiny bit higher. And this is a bit of a problem with crypto sometimes, because you don't sometimes know which exchange to trust. Okay, so what we do, we actually move the wave B here. And what we then have to do, we have to count the waves down from the top here at 65 cents. And if we then look at a 5-wave move to the downside, my view is that the move down here would be a wave 1, then came up in a wave 2. Then here we had another 1, 2, can count that 3, 4, 5. This was then the wave 3, then we had a wave 4 coming down in 5. And this would be this scenario that we say that we came down here in some kind of an ending diagonal pattern, because you have some overlaps here of waves. But the point is we just go down a little bit lower. Yeah, you can see that we actually made a slightly lower low here in this wave 5. So what we do, we look at the subwaves here of the wave 5. And what you often see when you have a strong sideways range, that this often counts as a wave 4. And then we had one final low in a wave 5. Let's just double check that. And then we could say in this wave 5, yeah, just to double check that, I need to go from the daily now to the 4-hour chart. So this here was a 1-2 setup up here, 1-2. And then you had another smaller 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you have a series of 1, 2 setups in here. So yeah, that's the explanation why this extends down quite a lot. But the most important thing is that in this 5-wave move, you have an impulse down. So what you normally see if you look at a chart like that, the strongest wave is a wave 3. The subwaves here allow for an extension of that wave 3. Then here the wave 4 is a sideways range, and the wave 5 down. That matches, yeah, makes sense. And it could be, there is at least the potential that the low is in. So what I can definitely tell you, COTI has fulfilled all the minimum requirements to complete this correction. It's come down low enough in this wave 2. It is important to understand how low did we really come. So where are we in terms of the Fibonacci retracements? And COTI, surprisingly, doesn't actually look too bad. If we draw the Fibonacci retracements, but I need to start at 0, you can see that COTI actually, and it depends on which high I take, but if I take this particular high, yeah, which was in March 21, then you can see that the key area where you would normally expect COTI in a wave 2 to reverse, because that's sort of the key area for altcoins to get into, especially in the first bear market, is the area between the 88.7% fib level and the 78.6, so between 5.6 and 10.6 cents. So it would be this area, and you can see that we actually hit this area. We're now sort of floating around the 78.6% retrace. That's actually not bad, because a lot of coins are already below the 88.7% fib level, which means that COTI is actually holding quite well. Now this situation is different should I draw the fibs all the way up to here, but then I would have to have a different higher level assumption, yeah, because I wouldn't draw the fibs all the way up to wave B normally. But even in this scenario, we are holding above the 88.7% fib level, so generally bullish. Bullish is the wrong word, but it's holding really well the support, which is better than what many other coins are doing, okay? So just want to make you aware of that, because a coin that has dropped below the 88.7% fib level, yeah, it's a bit less trustworthy, okay? Okay, so that's just that we've completed that. Then let's just see where we get to if we draw this trend line further. I spotted that earlier today when I looked at the chart before, and you can see that we can draw a trend line here. Now, depending on how you draw it, you could actually say that we currently find some support on this trend line. So that is guiding us to the upside. Does it mean it needs to hold? No, it doesn't. But it's certainly something that short term can guide us further to the upside. Okay, so if I zoom in now, because we want to know sort of what's going on very, very short term here on the COTI chart. And well, let me just zoom in here. So what is happening here at the moment looks very, very corrective, which means there is currently absolutely no sign that this low could already be in. Yeah, there is no sign at all, which means we are missing an impulse. Yeah, we are missing at the we are missing at the moment an impulse, and this means the move up could just be corrective, and it could very well be that we have to go down one cascade lower. In fact, what I have to tell you, this would actually be my primary expectation, that we do get one more leg down, and that would be based on the, let's say the evaluation of the structure of the chart here, because it doesn't look, let me just see. Yeah, because it doesn't look impulsive at all. I mean, if I look at the chart, this is a very clear three-wave structure at the moment. From this low here in June, yeah, you can say this was a wave A, this down here was a wave B, and we have seen here just a wave C, or actually it's better to count as a WXY, but again, it doesn't make too much of a difference. But the point I try to make here, that this is a very clear three-wave structure. We haven't seen an impulsive move at all or anything. And yes, we are pretty deep in support. And I'm not telling you that this chart or price couldn't suddenly start to spike, as some of them just do out of nowhere. Gala did that recently. We've got the Dogecoin, you know, and some of them just pump out of nowhere. And of course, COTI could do that as well. But the point is, there is currently no signal that could do that. And without seeing a clear impulse and having a clear signal that this thing bottomed, I wouldn't do any more than maybe just adding a speculative position, right? And this speculative position should be, well, have a certain size so that, you know, you don't get emotionally caught out. Should we go down much lower, yeah, it would be a speculative position, but because there is currently no bottom signal. But of course, you know, we've dropped a lot, and generally the chart, the price is holding quite well. So it's actually not looking too bad. But the point I try to make here is that we haven't got a reliable bottom signal. Okay. And the problem is, if we had here ABC to the upside, then this could have been a wave 1 down, here a wave 2 to the upside, and the wave 3 down would be next. And this is now a decision point, because if this is a wave 3, it would break the trend line here at around 8.8 cents. So, and then if we come down below, then it could really stretch all the way down to 5.5 cents. So at the moment, there is still uncertainty. That's why you get this sideways range here. I think what would help us to the upside would be certainly a break out of this range. So I think a break above the 12.9 cent level would help us to get some traction to the upside. And if it does that, there isn't really a lot of support and resistance left there. So I think if we really push higher here, then we can add the VRVP just to give us some support and resistance zones. But yeah, that's exactly what I just said. There isn't much resistance there on the way up. The next key point will be sort of here, that previous wave 4 high, around 30 to 35 cents. But a break above that previous swing high, around 13 to 14 cents. So there's a bit of a range down there. Getting above that level could really fuel a strong move to the upside, to the area around 30 cents. And to be honest, last year in summer, it was very, very fast. And COTI was with, being end of July, it was one of the first coins that actually started to move last summer in the bull run. So certainly something interesting to put on the watch list. Now, What else could hold the price currently down? Let's take a look at the 50-day moving average. Where is that? That's actually currently sort of, well, holding the price down a bit. You can see we're just above that. We're just above the price action with that 50-day moving average. So that is certainly providing resistance. The EMA ribbon sort of as well. This is the daily. If we go to the 4-day chart, you can see we're just below the EMA ribbon. That is providing resistance and has been providing resistance for a while now. A move above the EMA ribbon on the 4-day chart would be a very bullish signal. That would be a move above the 13.5 cent level. So as I said, resistance area around 13 to 14 cents here. But yeah, that is sort of what I'm looking at here. There isn't really anything super bearish on this chart, but the point is that, again, until we get a breakout signal, which would be a 5-wave impulse to the upside and ideally breaking above that 13.5 to 14 cent level, I wouldn't really add anything else than a speculative position. That's my point. But also, if we suddenly see a spike, which can come out of nowhere, I would always wait for the reversal signal, and the reversal down to the area, for example, of the 61.8 to the 78.6% fib level. Should we get a move to the upside? Yeah, just a confirmation that we move impulsively, and then the correction down just to avoid buying into a fake out. But yeah, that's my update about COTI. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.